It is 7 o'clock and we do have a quorum present, so we will begin our meeting this evening. If you would, bow with me in prayer and remove your cover, gentlemen. Holy Father God, we thank you for today, and we thank you for all that you richly blessed us with, far beyond what we deserve. Father God, we ask that you be with us tonight as we consider the matters of the school and help us to keep the kiddos first in our minds and the decisions that we make and what's best for them. Dear God, we pray for John's father-in-law. John couldn't be with us tonight, and we pray that you place your healing hand upon him. Help the doctors that are administering to him. Dear God, we ask that you forgive us because we do fall short of your glory with our sin, and it's in Christ's sweet and precious name that we pray. Amen. So, as I alluded to in the prayer, John's father-in-law had a heart attack Sunday night, and they're in Lubbock with him, so he's not able to be with us tonight. We have no one signed up for the public forum, so we will move to the Cardinal Spotlight.
Cardinal Spotlight, a bunch of guys here tonight. I actually have two groups here tonight that we recognize. First group is our Rotary Club Seniors of the Month, which is Rance and Rivington. Right, Ms. Shaker?
For November and December. We combine November and December.
So we want to recognize those two guys for being our Seniors of the Month. But also, we haven't been able to do this in the 4 years since we've been here, is recognize our football team for the playoffs. So that is something we wanted to do tonight, and recognize our boys and our coaches and our trainers for all their hard work. Some of them might want to say something. I think Remington did. But if not, I know Coach Winters does. He's never short of words.
The only thing I wanted to do is they don't know these yet, and so I wanted to y'all to hear. I wanted them to hear. They're all district honors. They did a fantastic job this season, and lots of names on here, and very well deserving. So Max was first team all district offensive lineman. Aaron was first team all district fullback. Hayden was first team all district spread back. Zaylen was first team all district utility back. Braden Lynch was the first team kicker, and Rance was the first team all district special teams player. Hayden was the defensive MVP of the district. Aaron and Justin were both the first team defensive linemen. Marcus was the first team all district linebacker. Rance was the first team all district corner. Zaylen was a first team all district safety. Max was a first team all district utility player. And on offense, Justin was the second team all district center. Marcus was the second team all district spread center. Zayden Hardy was the second team all district special teams player. And Noah Poe got second team all district defensive lineman. So lots of names, lots of honors there. Just goes to show how hard they worked and success they had this year. Coach did a fantastic job with them, and couldn't be prouder. So that's all I got.
Thank you. You don't have to stick around. Coach does, but you are more than welcome to stay.
That means
Or leave.
Good job, guys.
You're hilarious.
Oh, I did a hug. I get hugs, I don't do it. Congrats. Glad you're okay.
All right, next up will be the superintendent's report.
Enrollment's up again. We had a past little kids move in this month. I think last week we had to get a few more desks in the elementary. So enrollment is up 266. Attendance rate still high, 97. Pretty proud of that. 95 is kind of the standard, and we're pretty proud of that 27 and maintaining. Next financial report, November 25 compared to 24. We're on track. We'll have a few budget amendments presented to cover some post-district travel, but budget's looking like we're rolling right along. December board meeting date, December 15th, is the Monday, third Monday, and is also the last week that we're in school, so we can make that work.
Anyone have any issues with the 15th?
We do have UIL that day, and it'll go, but,
You can
that's
stay.
anybody other than me.
You can stay at UIL.
You can report by proxy.
Another superintendent evaluation is in there. It includes all the policies and structure of it, as well as like a blank template just for review if you have any questions over the next month. This is the official one you'll get next month to take and come back in January for the formal evaluation, but this is just a blank template for you to look at. If you have any questions about it, it's got 9 areas. It's got 9 areas: instructional management, district climate, student performance, student services, facilities, community relations, board relations, professional growth, and then student academic performance improvement. So everyone will get a blank document to complete in December for January. Couple last minute things that came out, our final first rating came out, which is our financial integrity rating system of Texas. Passing score is 100 or passing score is not 100, passing score is a 70. And we did get 100 on that. Marcy does a really good job of making sure we're staying on track in the first rating. I think the auditors will also be out next month to do a audit report on the last year. Had a late call with David Faltis this afternoon. He's going to start getting to work on our bond defeasance paperwork. He said we can't actually pay it off until February of 27, but he said what we can do is move what we have into an interest-bearing account, which produces about 4% interest, but move just enough just enough less than what we owe combined with the interest in that account will be enough to make that final bond payment in February of 27. So short of another bond election, we'll have another 0 INS rate, because the last 2 years of this bond will essentially have been paid off early. And that is all I have.
Okay. Principals report.
This last Monday, or last week Monday, the junior high one-act play went to Westbrook. Did a very good job. They didn't place, but they represented us very well. If you saw that, or if you knew somebody that went to that, it was definitely good. We all thought that they should have done a little bit better, but it's part of it. So we got kind of a plan. Maybe we're going to try to help some of that for next year. The all-star cast members was Mary Ellen Yaka and Presley Miller. And then honorable mention all-star cast was Lily Beard and Addison Minton. So they did a very good job, very proud of them. And she's starting to get ready for high school one-act play right now. So going right through with that. We're gonna start MAPS testing when we get back from Thanksgiving break. We'll have about a 3-week period for that. The holiday meal is December 12th. So if you have kids, come eat with them that day. Teachers will be sending out more information and kind of the schedule on that for December 12th. And then the elementary Christmas program is 9 a.m. on December 17th. That's the last day we have. It's early release. Miss Smith is working on that. Miss Smith is working on that. So not a lot for us, just finishing strong. That's all for the principal's report.
Yes, sir. Athletic report.
Start with football. You kind of got the run of that. 7-4 on the season. 7-3 regular season. Again, first time making playoffs since 21. Ran into a really good Water Valley team. But a really good season on those guys. Girls b-ball is in full swing. They played 3 games. They're 3-0. They got 21 players, 3 trainers. Running a JV. They're getting after it, learning. So it's been really good to see them guys going. Boys basketball starts tomorrow. Girls will play here tomorrow as well. And it's all sorts of crazy already. Boys have 24 players in high school, 3 trainers. Junior high hasn't started any games yet. We were supposed to play the night of our playoff game and couldn't get it rescheduled to make it work that week, so making it happen. There's 13 girls and 2 trainers. There's 18 boys and a trainer. And then powerlifting will kick off here in the next couple of weeks. Mr. Ellerby? January. And 5 or 6 of those guys? And then we got our cheer team registered for the state cheerleading tournament? Competition, that's what I'm looking for, competition. That'll be January 15th. And it's all one day. It's kind of crazy, but prelims will be in the morning, early that morning, and then finals will be that late that evening.
Where's that at?
That's in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And that's the Thursday of, unfortunately, that's the Thursday of our county show. So
Okay.
crazy times again, but we can't change that. That's UIL. So, and that's all I have for now. Yes, sir.
What's Brooklyn's status?
She tore her ACL. So
What's
she's,
the plan?
she went to the doctor and she's gonna try to throw a brace on it and do what you can. So
Senior.
I hate that because she's a senior, but she's a tough kid. So.
Yeah.
Hayden did get transported from Garden City to Midland on the football game. When he got hit, he was complaining about tingling in his extremities, and so they backboarded him and took him to Midland. Scanned his cat and did all that, and all the scans and readings came back good and positive, and so he got released that night and was home in his bed a few hours later. So all good there.
You need the jersey fixed.
No, they cut it into 4 pieces. So,
Okay.
and he told him that. He said, "Don't cut the jersey," but they didn't listen. So there goes $200.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Mr. Jerry with the operations report.
So we've obviously in the middle of renovating the house, which we're not, just kind of overseeing that project. Believe they're saying they'll be done roughly right after the first of the year, with that project. They got all the siding on the outside, started getting sheetrock and things like that, kind of getting it weathered in. And then we had some issues with the grease trap at the cafeteria that we ended up having to run a jetter through about 300 foot of sewer pipe, which, and in camera, trying to just locate, make sure we don't have any issues. We didn't find any down through there, but obviously 15 years and the sewer lines have probably never really been fully flushed and cleaned. And so they're really clean now.
And they run directly into the high school hall.
And they do, it goes right out of the cafeteria and turns and heads straight down the high school hallway and then turns, goes down the athletic hallway before it goes back outside. So we had to pull up the clean outs in the hallways while school was going on and try not to
Oh.
disturb class and smell and make a mess, so. And then just really, trying to focus on what we're gonna do a little bit during the break. We got some buses that we need to service and oil changes and stuff like that, so. I know Parsons came out and did, a water test, just like, the other guys did, and obviously it was kinda pretty obvious where the leak was. They just literally put the water hose on the panel and it went to pouring water and just like Target Solutions did, so. We know where the water's coming in at, so now we just gotta kinda get a solution on how to fix it, about how much it costs to fix it, so. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Counseling report?
So we wrapped up all of the 9th through 11th grade tours, college tours, those were good. FAFSA night was good, we had 6 students attend and 4 parents. I've had 10 seniors complete it, so I'm still waiting on 2 to get theirs done. Balfour was here, all of our seniors have their caps and gowns ordered, juniors ordered their rings. Talked about the Rotary Club. Miss Mize is going to, join Remington and Rance on December 4th at the Rotary Club for their, Senior Student of the Month honor. We've got ASVAB testing done. I have all my UIL teams for elementary and junior high completed. So I'll be sending those to Westbrook this week to get them registered. The riding events will take place here. They take place on each campus. December 1st through the 3rd is probably what she said. So I'll do those myself. GT referral window will be open December 2nd through 12th, so any student from kindergarten and up that wants to be referred, a parent can refer, a teacher can refer. I go in and screen all kindergartners, and if any of those kind of jump out at me, then I refer them myself. And then I'll begin testing, GT testing anyone that is referred in January and February. End of course retest will be on December the 3rd. We have 2 students taking English 2 and 1 student taking Algebra 1. So hoping to get those 3 knocked out. And then December 15th is the elementary and junior high UIL at Westbrook. Our first event begins at 8:45 and our last event begins at 7:20. So it'll be a long, fun, filled day. We have 50 elementary students participating, 39 junior high, which gives us a total of 89 students going. And then just a shout out to all the teachers that are coaching, which is Miss Guzman, Miss Hildebrand, Miss Stevens, Miss Mercer, Miss Jones, Miss Carrie Ann, Miss Early, Miss Ellerby, Miss Salceda, Miss Anderson, and myself. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Howard, and I report.
Last week we had our district OEE contest. We had 2 senior quiz teams that included Reagan Hubbard, Savannah Martinez, Peyton Northcutt, Seth McKinney, Colin Tate, Levi Gibson, Rance McBroom, and Carly Henderson. We had 1 green hand quiz team that had Sadie Northcutt, Wesley Frizzell, Josie Gibson, and Wyatt Norton. A green hand creed, Josie Gibson. Spanish creed, Saul Esparza, he got 3rd. Radio team, we had Colin Tate, Levi Gibson, and Rance McBroom. They also got 3rd. We got 2 crying holes. There's only 2 that advanced to area. And so 2/3 is kind of tough, but we go against all the schools, 1A to 6A. It don't matter in FFA. So that's proud of them, but we crying hole. It's hard. Major show entries, those are getting all mailed out this week, trying to get everything in and out all at once. Projects out in the shop, getting those done, they'll show those at chapter in both counties, so we've got some deadlines that we're trying to hit with those ag projects. Swine validation, I'll be out on Wednesday and Thursday going around Scurry County going to everyone's barns, getting those tags and paperwork done for everyone's pigs. And then we have rabbit validation on December 1st. That will be here. Everyone in the county will bring rabbits here. We'll get tattoos done if needed and check those and get paperwork.
County show is
January 16th through 18th. And then our chapter show is December 13th, I believe. It's on the calendar.
Any questions for any of our staff? Alright, next item on our list is a discussion only, is presentation by Jacob and Mark.
We have Jacob and Martin here, not the Jacob and Martin, but they can introduce themselves. They responded to our
Can you see me? I can just like stay with it.
our email about representation for bond planning services. They want to come talk to you guys, and I'll let them have the floor.
Well, we're not Jacob and Martin, but we are Will and Will. My name's Will Duggar, this is Will Duncan. I'm one of the principals there, I've been there for 25 years. Company's been around 78 years, something like that. Founded as a civil survey firm, so the history of our company is working with small communities on public infrastructure, water, wastewater. We've been in the architecture business maybe 10 or 15 years. We're still kind of getting the presentation together, so I'm just kind of introing here. But that's kind of the heartbeat of the community or the company is working with small communities, understanding some of the challenges unique to small communities and small school districts, right? So we say we can. We've done some really fancy projects, some really nice stuff. We can do some high-end things, but we also know how to do metal buildings and, you know, land the project on meeting the objectives, right? And sometimes success is a financial objective as much as it is a functional objective. Both are important, right? So the genius is finding the balance between both of those things. So.
I think you hit about the first 6 slides.
Yeah, so we're just cruising, right? So, but we are architects, we're engineers. So when I say civil engineers and structural engineers, we do municipal work, water, wastewater, streets, also land development. So we do a lot of residential, commercial site development. If you've been to Abilene lately, we did the big sports complex on the west side or the east side of the town. Volleyball, basketball complex, big soccer complex that's under construction right now, just about to complete. Environmental survey, construction materials testing. I mean, we do pretty much deliver projects in-house, so we don't have to rely on subcontractors or subconsultants, which to us is an advantage. We're about 100 people total, so we're not a big mega firm, but we're not a mom and pop shop. We've got some depth and can execute projects in-house, and it's really nice when to solve a collaborative problem, I just have to go down the hallway to talk to Will, or he has to go to a structural engineer down the hallway rather than dealing with, you know, other sub-consultants in the mix. Relationship is really the core of what I hit on, the community aspect of what's important to us as an organization, but if you had to boil that down to a word, it's relationship. Success in our mind is not a project that we can put on our website that looks really fancy and that we can pound our chest about, right? Success is, if you deem it a success, then that's gonna be what we, you know, can consider success. Our goal would then be to be working for you guys in the next 50 years. You know, I ran into Coach, we were talking in the hallway, and said he grew up in Strawn, and we've been working with that community for longer than I've been in the company. So that long-term relationship is really what drives and motivates our organization. It's the heartbeat of who we are. And if you don't remember anything else about what we talked about, just know that relationships matter to us.
Okay. So this next part is kind of boring stuff. I'm gonna run through it pretty quick.
I try to go through this with every presentation, just because if we don't talk about it and you talk to another architect and you go, well, they said they worked through all these design phases and you didn't, right? So I'm gonna run through these real quick. So we work in about 7 phases, first one being pre-design. So lots of times this looks like in the school world bond planning, right? Figuring out what you have, what you don't have, right? Facility assessments, what are your problems? Visioning, identifying what those projects are, what they cost, doing a bond proposal and getting that passed to the voters. That's not the case here, just know that we do that, okay? Let's go on to the next one. So once we get into a project, we work through 3 main design phases: schematic design, design development, and construction documents. First phase here is schematic design. This is the very conceptual phase where we're working through, typically like on a new building or a renovation, we'll work through floor plans, elevations, conceptually what that building looks like 3-dimensionally, kind of agree on that. We put a cost to it so you know what you're talking about, not just, oh, well, this looks great, but we don't know what it costs, right? So we end all these phases with a stakeholder review that involves budget so that you can make informed decisions about how to move forward. So after that phase, we move into design development. This is where we take those conceptual plans, that conceptual phase, and we start to add the technical aspect to it. So that's where we start putting in the mechanical, the electrical, the plumbing services, getting those designed and integrated within the building, the structural system, the outside paving, the civil engineering, all those aspects come into play here. Once again, we end that phase with the stakeholder review and the budget. Construction documents, this is where we take all those design decisions we've made thus far, put them into the big stack of plans that I know you've seen, right, and make those instructions to the contractor of how to build it. So we always say here we've got our elbows up and our heads down, right, because we're just working, right, and so we kind of disappear during this phase a lot of times, get those documents put together, have a couple intermittent reviews with the stakeholders, and then into that phase also with another opinion of what that's going to cost, so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page before we put that project out to bid. The next phase is procurement. So this can look in many different ways. There's lots of different procurement styles. There's design build, there's construction manager at risk, there's competitive bid, competitive sealed proposal, construction manager at risk, CMA, right? So this phase may look different depending on what construction delivery method you use. But we work with the owner and the contractor during those times. If it's CMA or construction manager at risk, the contractor's already been hired, we're working with them to get self-selected. If we're in a competitive bid scenario where we're doing competitive bid, competitive sealed proposal, or design build, we're working with bidding that out at that point. Construction phase, this is where we walk along with the owner during the construction. We kind of act as the advocate and help administrate the contract between the owner and the contractor, because the contractor doesn't work for us, he works for y'all. We just help administrate that contract because we do this on a daily basis and we realize y'all don't build facilities on a daily basis. So we're there to help make sure that what you paid for in a bid, right, the quality and all the items that were agreed upon and that cost, that's what you're getting installed. And then lastly, when we close out that construction project, we do our punch list and get all of our closeout documents and get that to the facility. So during this process, communication is a big deal to us. So we will communicate in the magnitude that you need us here, right? So during design, lots of times we'll come in and present. These are just suggestions, right? We'll come in as much as we need to. But at the end of SD, BD, and CD, we'll come and make a presentation to the board. So that way, if we're working with the building committee or somebody like that, that the board's aware of what's going on, because we recognize that you're the ones going to be asked out in the community. So what's going on over here? What's the status with this? And when you go, I don't know, right? That's the worst thing you can do, right? For y'all and for us is that y'all not be informed. So during design, we'll try to communicate as much as you want us to here with the board. During construction, we like to come in monthly and just give you an update of what's going on. With the staff, we'll probably have a lot more interaction with the staff because we'll be having a lot of those design meetings with them. More than likely, that would be some sort of subcommittee set up, maybe a couple board members, a couple staff members, but that would be a lot more ongoing. It might be more than just board meetings that we're communicating with them. So just to point out some of the technology that we use, We call it point cloud technology. This is a LiDAR scanner. Maybe you've heard of LiDAR. We use this when we're doing renovation projects. What this does is this is a piece of survey equipment that we can bring into a room, a building, and it's basically like Google Street View, where we can come in, set this thing down, and it does a 3D scan of a room, and it throws out 1 billion points and gets us a nice little photo bubble, so that when we get back to the office and we're trying to draw the existing facility to start the design process, we don't miss a measurement. We don't go, oh man, we missed that wall, we didn't tie that wall to this wall, and have to come back out. So it gives us all the information that we need to be able to create the existing drawings to design from when we're doing these doing renovation and addition projects. So we get a nice little photo bubble that you can see that was just clicked into, and you can spin around and look at something three-dimensionally in that photo. If you notice, before it went into the photo bubble, it's kind of grainy. Those are the billions of points that it has sent out. But because of those points, we can actually measure and find that measurement that we have either missed or we're not exactly sure what, or we question, we get back and we go, was that dimension really this? Because I'm showing there's kind of a gap here. With technology like this, we did an existing project in a historic building in downtown Abilene. We actually found a stairwell that had been covered up, because once you got back and laid it out, we're like, there's an area that's about 5 feet by 10 feet that we can't account for. It's behind some walls and we don't know what's there. So we went and knocked a hole in the wall, and lo and behold, there was an old stairwell that had been covered up, right? So you can find those mistakes, whereas you might not find them otherwise.
We use this technology predominantly on renovation type projects, right? Because, and the great thing is this saves the owner a lot of money for callbacks if we missed a shot or if we need to go take another look at something. And that happens all the time. No matter how diligent you're going to be on the first pass, this allows us to virtually go back and we can take measurements, we can go back and inspect things as they were, but it doesn't translate into multiple trip charges back and forth. So it's a win-win.
Okay, some of the other technology that we use is, and going back to communication, is renderings. We like to render all of our projects, just so that way, when you walk into the project when it's done, you already knew what it was going to look like. You walk in and go, yep, this is exactly what I thought it was going to look like, right? Because if I say, draw me a house, and I ask you to draw me a house, they're going to look completely different, right? So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to the design. So this is where we use the renderings. In this scenario, we've got multiple projects up here. One is a rendering, one is a photograph. So going to the next one. Even on our interior, sometimes we will do these as well. This one's a little bit challenging to determine which one's the rendering and which one's the photograph. The black people, the black silhouette people give it away sometimes, but we do like to use this to communicate with. This is a project that we did in Abilene. Will was speaking about it. It's just starting to wrap up. It's behind the Dodge Jones facility. It's a big basketball facility in Abilene. We're building a 10 soccer field complex. So we rendered this out to, one, help with fundraising for that, but also to help communicate. Make sure that everybody knew, sorry, I'm sitting in your way. Make sure that everybody knew what they were getting, right? So you can see the Dodge Jones there on your right as you come in. A lot of expanded parking, kind of an entry structure. 10 soccer fields with the clubhouse in the middle. The clubhouse is 2 stories. It's got a viewing balcony that's almost 360 degrees. This facility will allow for 10 championship or adult style soccer. It'll even do youth soccer as well as volleyball. No, not volleyball, sorry, football. This part right here is just like a little practice field where teams can huddle up, be able to talk about how they played or have little team meetings before or after their events. We don't have to watch this whole thing, it's rather long. Still on technology during construction, we also use a lot of technology. We all carry iPads and we use a program called FieldWire. There's a bunch of different programs that do similar things, but we carry all of our construction documents with us. So I can pull up any project at any time, look at the plans, look at the specifications. If we've issued revisions after the fact, we've got those with us. My observation guys carry them so that if we've made a change and he wasn't at that meeting whenever we made it, everybody that's on site has access to the same set of documents. We also use it to do our punch lists. In the bottom right corner, you see a floor plan with a bunch of little orange dots all over it. So we go in and we're able to actually identify, go into a room, we drop an orange dot and say there's a problem here. Maybe it's that outlet, for instance, that just has a blank cover on it. We would take a photograph of it and it goes in the punch list. So that when we get done, we hand the contractor, it's a big document. It may be 1,000 pages, but that's because every issue that's gotta be fixed has a page. Every item has the title, a description, a little floor plan showing where the problem is, so he knows it's that one, not that one over there, and a photograph, right? So that's handy whenever it's paint touch-ups or a register that's not, seated right in the grill. Those things can be found easily, and we're not going back and forth with the contractor, going, well, I went in and touched up the spot that you asked me to right there. No, I was talking about that spot, but thanks for touching that one up, right? I mean, it's just lots of back and forth. So this saves us a lot of time and energy. This is just a list of our recent and active K-12 projects. You'll see the majority of these clients are in your region. We are all over big country, West Texas, and I'm not even sure that's the updated list, but just to highlight a couple of recent projects. This is an indoor turf facility that we did for AISD, for Abilene Independent School District. We did one at Cooper and at Abilene High. So these are full football field size in width, in length. They run from the opposing 40, 50, all the way through the end zone. They have the drop down netting to be able to quadrant those off, do batting practice, golf practice, whatever was happening there. This is what they called the multi-sport facility at Jim Ned. This was a locker room facility for political reasons. They like to call it the multi-sport. It's really the field sports, all of soccer, football, track, baseball, etc. use this locker room. Let's see, this one we've got a couple projects on. We've got a community safe room that we did for Cross Plains. This was part of a grant through FEMA. They needed a gym, but couldn't pay for it. But they had a recent tornado at that point that allowed them to apply for a grant, and they got funding through FEMA to create a community safe room. So the entire community of Cross Plains can go into that gym. It's got backup generators and command centers and all of that. But it also just happens to be their elementary gym, which is handy. Ballinger ISD, another tornado project, that their baseball field got hit by a tornado. And so that was the reconstruction of that field. What's not pictured is there's a water tower on the right side of that photograph. That's kind of a stovepipe water tower. Their concession stand prior to this used to be a trailer. And when they went out there after the tornado, there were 2 puncture holes in the water tower and there was water spraying out of it. Well, they had picked the trailer up and the 2 axles had gone into the water tower, so kind of funny. This is the upper left is the Dodge Jones Youth Sports Center in Abilene, basketball, volleyball facility. You'll see the interior at the bottom left there. Bottom right is that the soccer complex, the Rock, that we briefly showed you that rendering video of. And then the upper left is the competition gym at Jim Ned ISD. Continuing on with some more Jim Ned projects, we've got a cafeteria expansion. This was a interesting project because their junior high and high school sit right next to one another, and the junior high kids had to walk to the high school to eat lunch every day, and they were running out of room. And so their kitchen had the capacity to cook for everybody. They didn't have enough space to seat everybody. So what we did was we added on another serving line to the back side of their kitchen, so that they had 2 serving lines on either side, and a seating area so that the junior high kids could stay on their side of the school. And so essentially the serving line is what connects the high school and the junior high together. So
also a creative solution to solve some security issues as well at campus.
This was a kind of a suite of fine arts projects that we did for Abilene ISD. We did some band halls at Madison and Mann, Abilene High and Cooper. We did some theater rigging and lighting at Abilene High Auditorium and Cooper's Auditorium. And then this is the Jim Ned Intermediate School. This was a part of their bond projects a couple years ago. Creative solution to pull some kids out of elementary and pull one grade down out of junior high because they were having some capacity issues. So this created a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade intermediate school.
Okay, my expertise, I'm neither an architect nor an engineer. I'm the CFO, if you will, right? So I get involved in the bond planning process, which we're kind of past that, correct?
We're in the developing planning stage.
Okay, so one of my roles is to kind of come in and work with a community group, right? Whether that be, sometimes it's just a school board, sometimes it's a full-blown community facilities, master facility committee type of environment. Sometimes that process gets very collaborative and, you know, feedback and collaboration and consensus building is the big challenge. And that's really what this process is. We can do everything from a facility study to the surveys and what it takes to walk a committee through that process to create consensus, understand, you know, achieve some clarity, because bonds are rise and fall based on one thing and one thing only, which is transparency and clarity, right? That's 2 things actually, but both of those things are important in this process, right? So the committee, if they're gonna make a recommendation to the board, or if the board is that committee, you gotta understand and be able to articulate clearly to the public what is our needs, right? And how are we going to afford to pay for this, et cetera. So just some of the things that we do. Demographic studies, we don't perform that service in-house, but we've certainly worked with demographers and other sub-consultants in the process as need be. Enrollment projections, again, that's demographer. We will do exhibits and schematics to try to, in the programming phase, when we're kind of trying to describe a project, say we have a concept in our head, and we can usually deal with program square footage, right? So we're talking about how many square feet does it take to achieve this programmatic solution? We want to renovate this room. Well, what would be the cost to renovate this room? And we deal with basically a price per square foot based on is that new construction, is it renovation, and what level of renovation type of thing. So we don't get to drawing floor plans or necessarily get into rendering full-blown renderings, because you got to be a little further down in the design process to do some of those things. But we'll take one concept and sometimes we'll split it out into multiple scenarios for, is that where we're going next? The next one's facility study, we talked about that. Sometimes we'll, like here was a particular, this was an education wing at Gym Ned, and we split that into 6 different ways to slice the banana, right? In terms of different options, so that it's not just, hey, this is our idea, take it or leave it. This is how do you want to solve the problem, and that becomes how we craft our strategy. And again, throughout this process, we're dealing with, go to the next slide, we're dealing with opinion of probable cost, right? Which is the cost components to this. We say, okay, here's the project, let's say it's a renovation of this room. What would it take to renovate this room in today's dollars? We give you that number. It's an estimate, it's an opinion. We're not bidding that job. It's simply what we expect, because we have our finger on the pulse of the construction market, being involved in all the different trades. And to a pretty high degree, I can tell you what in today's dollars this renovation would cost. From there, we say, well, maybe this is a multi-phase. We got to move these kids into here, and we can't start this project till we do that. So there's some escalation or phasing strategy involved in that project or sequence. We talked through a lot of that work is involved in that. Professional fees, our fee, we would charge a design fee if we were to build the project. Any architect would, and then other specialty sub-consultants like a acoustician or maybe a kitchen consultant on a cafeteria project, Texas accessibility, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. If we're going to renovate a space, we need to put some furniture in it to use it for its intended use, and then oftentimes we'll put some contingency, a little bit of contingency money in there. So the totality of that number is based on today's market, but it's projected as to when that facility is gonna get built based on the strategy and everything that we're doing. This is just an example of a little project where we go, okay, here's kind of the concept and a summary of the project. And sometimes you don't have a project that you can draw a box and say, hey, here's where it's gonna happen. So we'll deal with some inspirational concepts or images to say, yeah, something like that is what I have in my mind. So we'll propose some of those things. We use a cell phone technology to garner some unbiased solicitation feedback, and then we'll flash those results in real time, and then debate the merits, and is this project better than, it ranked higher, but I don't know if that one really should be down here, it should be higher, right? So that becomes very much a collaborative process, and so we come up with a list based of projects based on this composite score. We typically score projects on urgency and need of the project, benefit to students, because if it's not about the students, what are we doing here anyway? Community impact, because what happens in the school impacts the community, and then overall value, like bang for the buck. Is this a good investment for the taxpayer, right? Those are usually the 4 lenses that we use to score the projects. We'll come up with a ranking, we'll take another survey, and then we'll debate that process again. Questions? Most of this stuff is, here, this is a survey results and then a typical bond proposal type of stuff. And go to the next slide. We also do all the district support for, once the board calls a bond, things change a little bit, and the superintendent at least can no longer advocate. All you can do is present factual information. Board members have a little bit more latitude, but by and large, you're trying to be an honest broker, right? So we'll do informational campaign. We can work with other members of the community to, in a political action committee where there's a little bit more open advocacy there. But that includes a website, video on both sides of that, on the district side and the PAC side. If a PAC is involved, that can include website, social media, informational flyers and campaign, tax calculators, videos. Oftentimes, the use of a video is very helpful to convey to the public what's included in the bond, what's the tax impact of the bond. I heard you mention David Faltis. We've worked with him a number of places. Good working relationship there as well. Okay, I think that's just about most of what I want to talk about. Questions? I'd rather this be more of a discussion than just a download, right? So.
I have a question.
Sorry.
We've seen the EULA, what they've done. My uncle and he was the AD at Glen Rose, and I've seen kind of some of the stuff they've done. From a small school to a big school, what is the most difficult task we have compared to what a big school would have in getting this moving forward? Is there a difference? Are the same worries the same everywhere?
There's really nothing new under the sun. So the same problems that you deal with are the same issues that a larger district deals with, just on a different scale, right? The project may be bigger, but the process that will, the boring process that he described, it's the same process, right? Even the facility assessment, what do we need? Where do we start? Walking through buildings, identifying candidate projects that meet specific deficiencies. That's the same process in a large district. There's just that list of projects is 3 times as long, perhaps, right? And there's maybe a few more zeros behind some of that stuff, but it's essentially the same process.
Did you say your friend's the AD at Glen Rose?
My uncle used to be the AD.
Uncle used to be at Glen Rose.
Yeah, so we're down there a lot, and I've seen the stuff that they're doing, and so.
Yeah. We did their turf facility in there, yeah. Questions?
Where would some of the board members say you are in the process? We just beginning, it sounds like we're getting ready to pay a bond off, so we're kind of at the early stage of just exploring what would you say are some of the things that are important from your past bond experiences that you've learned?
Make sure the job is done correctly. That's something problem we have in this new school.
Well, and I ask that not to pick the history of it all, right? I don't really have an interest in that. What I do have an interest in is your perspective and what you found through your experience to be important to you, right? And so, you know, when I say the main thing that's important to us is relationship, right? And the why of Jacob and Martin is rooted in the fact that we've been in this region. You know, we're not going national. We're not chasing things. We have an office in Abilene is our headquarters, Weatherford, Lubbock, and San Angelo. So Hermleigh, Texas is right in the middle, epicenter of where our focus area is. We know the market, but we want to be here in 20, 30, 50 years, long after Will and I are both gone. And the key to that is communication, it's understanding, it's doing more listening, and I've done more talking tonight than I have done listening, but that's just the nature of the presentation to some degree. But success is found in listening and understanding what's important to you. People ask me, they go, what's the most important aspect of an architectural firm? And my answer is humility, because it's not about us. It's about this district and this community, and we see ourselves as a servant, as a trusted advisor, you know, and we can help move things forward, but we don't have an agenda here. Like, our agenda is what I told you from the get-go. If you say that project is successful, then that's gonna be our success. And that's what I want you to know about who we are, what's important to us and what drives us. And yes, you're right, finishing a project is, you know, from remodeling a house, right? To this question, what's the difference between remodeling a house and commercial architecture? Well, it's really the same stuff, you know, it's all the trades, it's just bigger, and finishing a house project is the hardest part. Well, finishing an architectural project is the hardest part, but that's why we use some of the technology, and that's why communication is as important as it is.
What process did y'all go through with your bond planning last time? Did y'all have a community committee that did that and then brought a recommendation to y'all?
The board asked people to have a committee to go out and present it to the public and see what their opinion was. And I was on that committee.
Did that work well for y'all?
You know, you didn't really have that Facebook, social media back then. I think it worked really good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people.
Anything else? Be respectful of your time. Appreciate the audience, and if you choose to hire us to work with you, we'd be honored. So thank you for having us.
We tried to blow through that quickly, so because we can talk for an hour.
We're around school boards enough to know that you guys work really, really hard, and this is a thankless. I mean, if you want to boil down service, public service, it's got to be the local school board that gives more than anybody. So we'll get out of your hair. Appreciate your time. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thanks. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Right, moving along to action items. First item up will be consider and take possible action on the approval of the board minutes. We had two separate meetings there, the special board meeting from October the 20th and the regular board meeting from the 20th.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. Any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0. All right, take possible action on the approval of payment of bills and investment report.
On the bank statements at the back, I thought it was on the foundation too, but when I got to looking, the foundations was on there. So I had to call the bank because our interest rates were, it was only for the first 13 days because they switched over to UMB midway through the month. And so I've been waiting to get back, but apparently it's just a timing. First bank paid interest on the 31st, UMB pays it the 2nd of the next month. So the rest of the interest on these other accounts, other than the foundation, and I guess because the foundation's in that sweep account, that was different. But we should be getting it on our November statement. So it's just a little different, it's just the timing of it. So. And when I added up the foundation, since I had that one, it was 27,405. So it's pretty close to last month.
Is everything working pretty good with the new transition?
I was a little nervous because they shut us off that Friday and I had payroll to submit the next week, but everything went fine. So, luckily.
They set you off.
I was a little nervous.
Teachers got that.
They
We
did.
got 2 pay stubs though.
Yeah, we did. Maybe one and then literally like 35
Oh,
seconds.
that's out of
later,
the sender though, that doesn't have anything to do with the bank.
We didn't get double paid.
No, so sorry, so sorry.
Well, it is.
Do we have a motion to approve the bills and investment report?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Who seconded?
Richards?
So we have a motion and a second to approve the bills paid. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Next up is to consider and take possible action on the approval of budget amendments.
I know for one, especially, post-district travel, we don't have a current budget. We've already dipped into, using more of our student travel budget, like Clarissa went to, regionals and then football playoffs this week, and, very likely that our, basketball teams will make some runs, and that's expected. It's just gonna eat up that, pre-district student travel really quick. Like I said, when we play a game, a football game, where all 3 teams are playing, we're buying 90 meals a week, and that adds up over time. It's a good problem, but it's a problem. I mean, we're not buying extra stuff, we're not taking extra kids. That is how many kids we have participating.
Well, in these amounts, I mean, I just pulled it what we've
What we've had.
budgeted in the past, and like the 60,000, that's for the rent house renovations. But like you said, they approved that they would cover the, up to, what was it,
77.5.
77.5, so we can change those amounts. I mean, y'all just let me know, I just put these on here so y'all can see. This will come out of fund balance. Now the 60,000, I have it coming in from the foundation, but that 30,000, that comes out of fund balance, so.
So that 30,000 is just to beef up our travel.
You know, I think too, contact some of the board members, some that, you know, we might get the public to kind of help, especially when you get into playoff stuff, a lot of kids move.
And I know football was donated last week, football concession was donated.
Yeah, I think there's people out there that would help out and do this, you know, for the kids.
We can figure stuff out.
Like I said, y'all just tell me what you want me to do. I just was trying to put stuff on here so you
Yeah.
can look at it.
Sure.
So that, like that 30,000 in post-district travel, if that doesn't get spent unless we obviously make it, you know, so it's not just a fund to take from, it's there when we need it. And so far we've needed it.
So we need to move that over, so what you're saying?
So we make a budget amendment for 30,000 for, function 36, and then that 60,000, that'll be from the foundation, that the foundation will be contributing, but it'll be
Since they
more.
upped it, do we need
So
to
it'll
up
be
it now?
77,500 now, rather than 60,000.
Okay.
So that 60,000 will be 77,500, and that's a revenue from the foundation to the school, which will be put in function 51. And that 30,000 would be from fund balance to cover the post-district travel. So those are the two amendments to
Okay.
vote on or consider.
I'll make a motion to move the money around.
We have a motion and a second to make the budget amendments as proposed with changes to the amounts for, the,
Renovation.
renovation. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Alright, consider and take possible action on the tech school resolution amending the authorized representatives.
We don't ever take money out of here. We just basically hold these accounts open in case we do have a big construction project. And I just forgot to add Mr. Ellerby on. We found out when they were sending him a bank confirmation with the audit, and he's like, I gotta have, his signature's not on the account, and I was like, what? So, he was saying.
I'll say it.
So we have a motion and a second to correct the authorized representatives for the tech school resolution. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Next is consider and take possible action on the election to participate in TRS Active Care.
So this is to get us back into the state insurance program. You know, we were supposed to be out for 5 years, starting in 2021, because the first year didn't count. So because so many schools had health insurance issues when they came out with the pool plans, the state has come back and said, all right, we'll let you back in early. So it would take us off, because currently we're on our own individual health insurance plan, and it's costly, just because we don't have the buying power of, you know, statewide. This will cost us a little bit more next year because we have to pay like some sort of extra fee. I can't think of the name of it, but we have to pay an extra fee that's going to be 10 to 40% higher than normal. But even if you take that fee and add it to their rates, it's still comparable or lower to what we're paying now. So this is just to basically rejoin TRS.
Is that fee a one-time fee?
Yes, it's just for next year. It's basically like slap on the wrist, you guys did bad, and we're gonna tell you to get
Well,
next
on the
year.
webinar I watched, they said it was more of a precautionary thing to make sure the TRS fund stayed healthy, bringing on all these people that they haven't necessarily got great claims.
Is that what the staff would wanna do, is be back on that program? Like for the insurance?
Yeah, it's either go back, do what we're doing now, which is expensive, or go back to self-funded, which is, it's a.
We don't do that
no,
anymore.
no.
Okay.
We had a lot of people drop off the insurance plan we're on this year. They took individual plans outside of here,
Okay,
because it's not great.
okay.
Yeah, a bunch of us went with Farm Bureau. It was significantly cheaper. And like I have my whole family on there for $150, $175 cheaper through the school that would have been just me and the girls. So I got to add Carly on there for $200 cheaper. Go through Farm Bureau.
At Farm Bureau, they have health insurance?
Yes,
They go
They just
through like
started.
UNC or something. I went with them too. That's
Pre-approved though. You had to be approved.
And for me, it was more expensive, because it's, I guess, cause it's
It's just
just
you.
me.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper for me to go to school.
And,
Okay.
and that was without the school's contribution. So it was still $200 cheaper despite the school's contribution of what it would have been. So really it's $600 cheaper, or $650.
So next year we'd see similar to a little bit lower rates, but then the next year it'll start writing itself to get with being back on the, the state Blue Cross Blue Shield plan.
And it's more consistent throughout the years, instead of doing this one year, and
Yeah.
the next year you're doing this, and then next year, who knows if we'll have it,
Right.
The TRS was pretty consistent, which is nice.
Always have to shop around.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve election to participate in TRS Active Care. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Next is consider and take possible action on the Scurry County Appraisal District Board election.
Hermleigh ISD has 380.53 votes. So you can divide it up amongst them all in one, split it between two. See any way you wanna cut it. The board nominated Tyson
The board nominated Tyson Price and Will Collier.
and Rod Partain, because he said he would run again,
Right.
but that was when they didn't have enough to run also.
But now they have just exactly the number.
No, I have one more, cause it's a 5.
It's a 5. Okay.
I'd say split it three ways, if we nominate all three of them.
Split it amongst three of them. Probably so.
Casey, would you turn that into a motion?
I make a motion that we split our 380.53 votes between, I guess, Will Collier, Ron Partain, and Tyson Price.
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Still haven't quite figured out how you can get
Somebody
0.53 votes.
somebody might get a little bit more of that.
When you got three, it's hard to get it.
That's true.
So maybe they have an extra toe.
All right, and last item on our action items is consider and take possible action on the bond planning service. Mr. Ilby?
Work on that .53.
Alright, two are getting 126.84 and one's getting 126.85. I reached out to several firms, architect, engineering, sent them a document about requesting proposals for bond planning services. Jacob Martin responded, as well as performance services. Performance services has been here a few times. This is their statement of qualifications. You have their packets in front of you. Basically, right now, tonight, you're just voting on which one of these guys you think best fits our needs, either performance services or Jacob and Martin. I mean, they both come highly recommended.
I forgot performance services, what did that do for us?
That was Jenna Shedowitz. She came out several times and talked to you. She did one of the presentations, and they did an assessment, a facilities assessment.
Okay.
With these bond planning services, do both companies bill us the same way for the services?
Build construction?
No, bill. Do they charge
I don't
us
know.
the same way?
That would be, we'd have to go, because price can't be considered at this point. You just vote in based on qualifications. And it still doesn't tie us to either one, but we could work out with them a process for whether they require payment or they're gonna, do it and, for the expectation of participating in the bond. They could be, could be charge an hourly rate, could be, free services with, bond planning and, community meetings and things like that.
So for clarification, tonight's vote is to select one of these two companies to pursue asking questions with,
Yes.
not to contract with.
We would work out with them an agreement to contract for bond planning services. So like, for instance, we reached out to that one, independent design rep, and we got the bill, and we're like, whoa, no, that's too much. So it could even be, something like that, cause like, nothing is binding, until, you sign an agreement that's mutually agreed upon between the district and the service.
Which one did you feel comfortable with?
I like them both. I know Jacob and Martin, they're I guess they're local. I wouldn't say, they're Abilene based, they are around here. The Performance Services has done a lot of work around the state, Fort Stockton. I think recently in Prairie Lee, they did a bond planning down there. And I think in here is a list of a lot of the projects. These guys seem real knowledgeable. I know if y'all don't remember, Jenna, she was a go-getter. That's how she was perceived to me. But out of the 6 I sent it to, these 2 were the only ones that responded.
Mr. Elby, where's the performance services located?
It's more national. I think this says Round Rock. Says Round Rock, Plano, Houston. So they're bigger firm, kind of more widespread. they've done quite a bit of schoolwork. They've done a lot more municipal stuff, city, because they do specialize in design build, which that's not a decision that has to be made until after the bond, how you wanna proceed with, services. But if you do CMA or CMAR, that's where you have your architect and your construction management. And then they build a cost based on your bond, and, you know, if it goes over, then they eat that, after the fact, cause they're at risk. That's what the at risk stands for. And then the design build is where you have your owner's rep, which would be a locally contracted person, an architect, to support the school through the process of working with a design build company that does it all in-house.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's like you don't know if they're charging hourly fees and all that.
Yeah, we won't know with either of them.
So
But
I
then
guess
it's not a done deal until.
Right. But isn't that kinda wasting our time if we go with, say, this one and then come to find out they charge hourly rate and then we're like, we should've, can we not like,
Back to the drawing board.
I know, can we not like get ahead of that game before we make a decision?
No, you're not supposed to. It's supposed to be on their qualifications. So it's just basically, who do you think would better fit, you know, the needs of the school?
The one thing that I see is that Jacob Martin seems to be in our back door at Hermleigh,
Mhm.
and all offices are closed as compared to Performance, who seems to be, as you said, a little more national, a little more spread out. But Jacob Martin does not seem to want to go the design build route. They wanna go more of the construction manager at risk route. That's kind of the way I was hearing what he had to say tonight. To where Performance is wanting to go the design build route and not so much construction manager at risk.
That was their specialty. I mean, that's all they did.
Yes. I see pros and cons to both sides of
Yeah, I do too.
it.
What do you think, Earl? One as good as the other?
Huh?
One as good as the other?
This one that built this school at Cleveland, wasn't it? DSA?
It was Catco.
Huh?
Catco.
Catco.
Out of
Or was
Abilene.
it? I thought it was out of
No,
Cleveland.
I'm not sure. I just know there is a
Texas is out of Atlanta.
Well, that wasn't very good at coming back.
Nope.
Fixing the problem.
Now, these guys been around here, what, how long?
78 years.
Where were they when they built this school?
I don't know.
There you go. We wouldn't be having this problem.
I wasn't on the board.
I
I don't
wasn't
know.
But Joe was, when we built the school. That was Burton on that deal, wasn't it?
Well,
Pretty much
we
Burton.
had a guy that was worked for the company, Burton did
Burton
too.
did.
And he had to go to another project, so Burton took over,
Mhm.
and everything was cool, he thought. And didn't work out so.
Catco did
No,
not
he
even
didn't.
respond to us, correct?
They were building that gymnasium over in Hamlin, I remember, and he called me.
Like Kevin said,
Had
Pros and
problems
cons.
He had
both of
problems
them.
over there, he wanted me to go over and,
Jacob Martin's in the back door.
Yeah, they-
That was
they-
like that,
yeah.
but
and then Blackwell
we
too.
have
and I
questions,
said,
they're
"No,
right
I
down
ain't
the road.
involved in that."
with
You know, it says, when all
They
said
don't
and
seem to
done,
be
we
going
sued
anywhere anytime
everybody in
soon.
here, sued every contractor.
And they're
Everyone,
mostly
windows,
local,
ice
local,
repairs,
so
yeah.
we can go ask other people.
Yeah, well,
How they are
well,
performing
I don't know.
personally, but.
As long as they operate, I think with the
Yeah, I have to-
guidelines
I have
of
to.
what we're doing,
And they're beautiful.
I would say Jacob Martin would be my pick, just for
Well, I
locality.
mean, we're not building a new school here,
No.
we're trying to keep maintenance on this thing where it won't fall down. And,
And honestly, I think that's where an engineering group might be a whole lot better than an architecture group.
yeah. Cause besides the bathroom, there's nothing really, construction wise, just replacing and maintaining. Everybody say okay with Jacob Martin?
That'd be my vote.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know much about any of them.
No. Oh, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. What do you think?
I just want it done right. I mean, I think somebody closer to us,
Yeah.
you know?
Casey, what do you think?
Okay.
Okay, so we going over to that?
I'm gonna say their name right.
Jacob and Martin?
Okay, I'll make the motion
Yes.
Okay.
for Jacob Martin.
And just before the vote, I think we're gonna have to pay somebody either way, for this service, either before or after. Not sure it's gonna be a free service in the long game. Cause it's gonna be a lot of work. I mean, they're gonna work on, community meetings, facilities assessments, getting boots on the ground, communication.
Yeah, that's the big thing right there.
But I don't think it's gonna be cheap either.
Right.
What
Cool.
is? I'll second that. Bridget? Go with Jacob and Martin.
So we have a motion and a second to go with Jacob Martin. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 4-2.
I mean, just kind of feel the board, how else do you fix the problems besides what we're thinking? There's no money out there, the state has no money. We've got air conditioners that's gonna go out, and one was pretty close to gone, right? The gym floor is toast, got a major leak. Anybody, I mean, is there any other suggestions?
We have
What
transportation
to come
equipment
up
that
with?
needs to be replaced.
I mean, if you do, we all.
Well, that leak's been like that since they built the school.
And nobody did anything about it.
That's
the
right.
thing.
That's right.
Well, there has to be a time now to where we have to just
We have to.
stop and say, hey, it's gotta be fixed. We can't just keep
Let it
adding
fall
to the
down.
problem, cause then we're gonna get in a world a bigger hole than we're already in.
And things go up every year. Nothing's getting
Yeah.
cheaper. Either we do it now or we just keep adding money to stuff.
Yeah, you got four votes.
I mean, but we wanna hear y'all's
We
opinion.
would love to have six. I mean, we don't want y'all about that, well, I want some opinions, you know.
You're part of this board just like the rest of us. So,
I
I
can't
don't understand.
find, I'm thinking of ways, I can't find ways to keep this thing maintained unless you go to the foundation. And do you wanna spend all that money?
no,
We couldn't touch it when we had it, so
Do it.
nothing. I'm not gonna argue with
I mean, we never did touch it for the last 10 years and stuff, and that's why they made all this interest and all this money. You have to say
Yeah,
for
but
rainy
look
day,
what the
but,
problems,
I know,
Gerald,
I know,
nothing got,
I know.
I mean, I'm not arguing with you, I just like to know if you've got
I mean, this
any
is
other
people's
suggestions.
money, I mean, you gotta, I mean, it's just kids' money and people's money, I mean, you don't mess with it. You know, I know we need things, but, I mean, we could've spent money back several years ago too, and we've been broke if we wanted to. But I don't-
Do you just
I-
let the building
I don't-
fall down?
Well, we're probably better off in the old school than this school.
Really? Are you kidding me?
Well, I think first of all, we need to think of our students, our staff, our admin, everybody here. It's not like our hard feelings against each other, cause this is what I feel like we're doing is just pitting against each other. I don't wanna do that. But we need air conditioners. I mean, these kids, these teachers can't sit in a classroom without air conditioners. I mean, if my air conditioner goes out at my house, I'm calling the AC guy. And I'm figuring it out. I mean, that's, us as a board, we have to come to an agreement. Like, what are we here for? If we're not here for the kids and the teachers and the staff, admin, everybody, then we're defeating our purpose of sitting in these seats. That's all I gotta say.
Good point. We're not here to be enemies, we're here to keep this school functioning.
I'm here to help.
that's what we should all be here for. And I feel like we're not.
Anybody?
Do we have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
I motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?